Okay, so every draft, there are some big swings, some surprises, and a lot of times the surprises get heavily criticized. But sometimes the NFL teams know what they're doing, and they are considered correct, and we are the ones who end up having to eat our own words. So that's what I'm going to talk about in today's video. These are 7 bold moves that ultimately ended up working out. Only talking about the past 5 years. So from the 2020 NFL draft to now, keeping it relevant and keeping it recent. But yeah, let's just get into it. Number 7's a bit of a smaller one, but there was a lot of talk last year with the Los Angeles Chargers of, do you really want to draft Joe Alt? Because you already have Rashawn Slater, so it's not like you don't have a tackle, a franchise left tackle. You really need wide receiver help. Is this the correct move? But ultimately, I think a lot of people said, well, this is Jim Harbaugh, wants to ground and pound. I also think they just liked Joe Alt as a player and just wanted Joe Alt to play because he's very good, which, I had him higher on my draft board than the receivers, and ultimately, it wasn't just about positional value, although I do think they valued a tackle position really highly. I think they just wanted a good player as well, and it really worked out year one. They still do kind of need to address the receiver issue a little bit, but they also got Ladd McConkey in round 2, and that worked out. So, like I said, at the end of the list, some smaller ones, but still worth talking about. Number 6 was the Detroit Lions, who had a heavily controversial draft, getting Jahmyr Gibbs, Jack Campbell, and Sam Laporta with their first 3 picks. And while a lot of people really liked actually what they did after round 1, and I should say after the Sam Laporta pick, like the Brian Branch pick was heavily praised, these picks were crushed, and especially the day 1 picks with Jahmyr Gibbs, Jack Campbell later on, and then again, the tight end Sam Laporta. For Sam Laporta, okay, so people might not remember this, but Michael Mayer was considered to be one of the top 2 tight ends there. It was him and Dalton Kincaid. And then drafting Sam Laporta over Mayer was considered a really controversial move at the time from the Detroit Lions. I think Laporta has ended up being significantly the better player out of the 2 in the NFL. Of course, Jahmyr Gibbs at pick 12 was super controversial, although I will say, so this was controversial for 2 reasons, right? One is running backs, and what is running back value? And ultimately, your thoughts on running back value probably has not changed. If you think that running backs are valuable, you probably think that he was worth the pick. If you don't think running backs are valuable, you probably still don't think he was worth that pick. But there was the other reason why this pick was controversial, which was the fact that many people just didn't think that he was as good of a player to be drafted that high, and he's certainly shown that he is at least a good enough player to be drafted that high. If you think you should never draft a running back that high, that's a different conversation, but he's certainly proven to be a top 12 caliber of player, right? And then Jack Campbell as well, who I remember at the time, I kind of liked him more than other people did, but a lot of people didn't think he should have been a first rounder. He was drafted relatively, kind of in the middle of that first round as well. Did not have a great rookie year, but really bounced back and had a good year too. So yeah, ultimately all controversial picks, but they all did what the Lions were hoping they would do when they entered the league, and so you have to tip your cap to them. Number 5 was just last year. I'm going to put Michael Penix Jr. on the list. And listen, I still think you can sit here and say, the issue of this move was not the pick itself, but it was, why do you sign Kirk Cousins then if you want to go quarterback in the draft? You have to know this ahead of time. But ultimately, if you're just viewing the pick itself, this is a situation where they have to be thrilled that they decided to go with this instead of drafting for need and getting an edge rusher, right? Because if they did not do that, and they just had Kirk Cousins as their starting quarterback, this team is looking like in a rough spot right now, quite frankly. But because they had Penix, who, again, the story has not yet been written on him. He had a very good start to his career. We'll see what happens, but you have Penix, who had a really good start to his career. We'll see if he's able to, show something, but definitely the Falcons have to be thrilled that they have him. Number 4 on this list is Jamar Chase, who, if you remember, when he was drafted, this was a very criticized move because many people felt like you need a tackle, you need to protect Joe Burrow. Penei Sewell is on the board. Why are you passing up on Penei Sewell to get Jamar Chase? And listen, I think you could still make a strong argument for wanting Penei Sewell over Jamar Chase. Both are valid arguments. Both are great players. But to be honest, I just don't think the Bengals would be better off without Jamar Chase. They need to address the tackle position, right, and get decent at that. That's certainly true. But again, this just feels like a move that got them to a Super Bowl, got them to another conference championship game. And while they could still use an offensive lineman, if you want to sit here and say, well, it could have maybe worked out a little bit better, that's an argument you can make. But this certainly worked out. And him being as good as he did, certainly I think you have to feel like I think him and Lions fans are very happy with the players that they ended up with. Number 3, Jalen Carter of the Philadelphia Eagles, who, again, Carter was coming off of an off-field incident where he was involved in a street racing thing where he was street racing one of his teammates, that this resulted in somebody dying. He was not involved in that direct crash, but it was still something that he was involved in. A lot of teams did not want to take a chance on him. The Philadelphia Eagles, and again, feels weird to bring up that and then talk about football, but the Philadelphia Eagles said, you know what, we've done our evaluation, we trust that you'll be all right, we're going to draft you. There was also the other side of things where people were saying, do the Eagles need another defensive lineman? They're pretty good there. Ultimately, I mean, he was a huge part of why the Eagles then went on to win a Super Bowl. So when you have a controversial move that results in you winning a Super Bowl, yeah, I'm going to put that as a move that worked out. Number 2 was Justin Herbert, who people did not like Justin Herbert. And this is one of the reasons why now when I do my quarterback evaluations, I don't listen to what other people are saying too much until after I've evaluated these players a bit. Because I feel like I was kind of buying into this and maybe I would have come to the wrong conclusions regardless. But ultimately, people were not crazy about Justin Herbert. People did not have first-round grades on him. The Chargers drafting him at 6, it was kind of a joke of, oh, yep, someone's always going to draft the 6'5" guy with a big arm because that's just what teams do. They fall in love with potential. And Herbert's been awesome for them, right? Herbert's been a great player, and you can't sit here and say that. I mean, again, people have different Herbert takes, right? Some people love Herbert. Some people think he's overrated. Fine. Ultimately, he has worked. He has been a good 6th overall pick for the Chargers. They are certainly happy with him. And for a move that was so criticized at the time, definitely that is one that worked out. But it is not number 1 on the list. Number 1 on the list is actually one that just happened last season. I am going with Jayden Daniels, who, again, if you remember, him over Drake May was not conventional wisdom at all. And this is why I decided to go with him over him as number 1 over Herbert. Herbert, as controversial of a move as that was, ultimately was like the next quarterback on the board. And if you want a quarterback, like, okay, we get it. For Daniels, there were other quarterbacks the Commanders could have chosen, which is, I think, what made this such a bold move. Drake May was considered this, like, a guy who would usually be first overall in a given draft. And, Daniels was kind of considered like, oh, yeah, like he's a top 5 quarterback. But they correctly said, no, this is the guy we want. And he got them all the way to the conference championship game last year. I mean, it doesn't get much better than that. So, yeah. That is my list of those are 7 controversial moves that ultimately worked out. Let me know in the comments below. Are there any I missed? Let me know your thoughts. Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.